This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
Just ahead on Carolina Impact, millions of Americans suffer from insomnia. Find out what could be robbing you from getting a good night's sleep. Plus, we'll take you to Salisbury to find out how these water buffalo give local foodies a taste of Italy. And
he's blowing bubbles and breaking records. Coming up, we'll show you the man behind the soap bubble circus.
Don't go anywhere. Carolina Impact starts right now.
Carolina Impact, covering the issues, people, and places that impact you. This is Carolina Impact.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amy Burkett. As a society, we tend to be sleepy. I'm always grateful when I get a good night's rest. Research shows too many of us aren't getting enough Z's. According to the National Institute of Health, about 70 million Americans suffer from sleep problems. Lack of sleep can cause a number of issues, including car accidents and job-related injuries. Sleep deprivation adds about $16 billion to the national health care bill each year. Carolina Impact's Jeff Rivenbark explains what may be causing those restless nights and shares some tips for helping you get some sleep.
Peter Nash collects old telephones. He's got a couple of really old doozies like this, and about a dozen rotary dial phones. Tinkering with old phones is a hobby that helps him wind down after a long day at work.
When I don't get sleep, I don't eat right, I'm grumpy, I'm not really safe when I'm driving, I can't work efficiently.
Peter first started having problems sleeping about 20 years ago.
It just got to the point where I couldn't function, couldn't do my work, and I went to the doctor. It was a pretty bad day, and I was essentially crying as I walked in. The doctor and says, I can't do it. I can't live this way.
He was diagnosed with restless leg syndrome, a neurological disorder which affects as many as 10% of the U.S. population.
I'd be lying there relaxed and doing fine, and then I'd start to feel it's like a rubber band coiling up in my knees, and they just had to release, and it came out as a twitch or a kick, and it was enough to completely wake me up.
Years later, Peter found out he had another sleep disorder, sleep apnea.
So it wasn't showing up as a snore so much as it was just long times with no breath and then gasp.
Jerry Wadsworth also suffers from sleep apnea. At 76, he has a pacemaker, and that, combined with a sleep disorder, puts him at greater risk for a dangerous heart rhythm disorder called atrial fibrillation. Before his diagnosis, Jerry had lots of restless nights.
I would dream that I was in a very claustrophobic area. Couldn't get my breath, or that I was almost being buried alive, and I would wake up, my heart would be racing, and that's what I would call a panic attack.
Before going to bed, he straps on a mask connected to a CPAP machine, which helps him breathe.
There is never a night goes by that I don't use it. I carry it with me. When I travel, it's been on airplanes, cars, everywhere. It's right with me. It's more important to me than my luggage.
More than 1/4 of the U.S. population report not getting enough sleep, and 10% suffer from chronic insomnia.
We as a society are not getting enough sleep.
As a neurologist and sleep physician, Dr. Meredith Snap sees lots of patients who have trouble sleeping.
You know, we've all heard adages, and I've told myself at different times in my life that we'll sleep when we're dead, or sleep is for the weak. But we don't recognize how important that is as a foundation for a healthy lifestyle, as important as exercise and healthy diet.
When you're getting good sleep, something important takes place in your brain. Cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF flow, increases to flush out toxins that accumulate in our brain during the day.
That's why a lot of times when we wake up without good quality sleep, we feel like the cobwebs haven't been cleared. We feel foggy.
Sleep deprivation can contribute to a number of chronic diseases, including hypertension, diabetes, depression, and obesity.
We also have a very strong circadian rhythm. The cues internally but also externally that tell us when it's time to go to sleep and when it's time to wake up. And if you have a well-trained circadian rhythm, you should naturally fall asleep at the right time and wake up at the right time.
But if you need an alarm clock to wake up in the morning, that could be a sign that something is wrong. Here are some ways to increase your chances of getting a good night's rest. Go to bed and get up at the same time each day. Limit exposure to artificial light like TVs and cell phone devices. Avoid large meals, caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine before bedtime. Swap out fluorescent bulbs and bedroom lamps with incandescent bulbs. If you're on a prescription sleep medication, make sure you take it on time each night. Peter Nash has an alarm on his phone to remind him.
If I'm going to be leaving and expect to be out of the house, I take medicine with me in the keychain pill bottle. So I've got my phone with the alarm, I've got my medicine, so even if I'm out traveling, out from the house, I can take the medicine.
If you do all these things and still have problems sleeping, ask your physician for a referral to a sleep lab.
When we see people in the sleep lab, we'll see small arousals that don't necessarily come to full consciousness, so you're not aware of how many times you're arousing out of deeper stages of sleep, and therefore just not getting a good quality of sleep.
A sleep study can pinpoint which disorder you have and help physicians come up with a plan for managing it.
If you're not waking up in the morning feeling rested, you need to get assistance from someone that can look at it from the outside and help you figure it out. It makes a difference in ways that you don't even know about until it might even be too late.
Since Peter knows about his sleep disorders and how to manage them, he's more alert during the day when he has to work or when he's fixing another old phone to add to his collection. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jeff Rivenbark reporting.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Joining me now is Dr. Kenneth Weeks of Novant Health. Dr. Weeks, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. You have that interesting specialty combination of being a cardiologist and a sleep expert. We don't often think those two go hand in hand. Help us understand.
It is a little unusual, and it's related to the fact that in the early 90s, we started recognizing that heart patients and sleep apnea go together. And the overlapping combinations included hypertension, heart attacks, sudden death, coronary artery disease, depression, and a long list of features that go with being disrupted during the night. So we would see a patient with a heart attack and get everything tidied up in terms of risk factors, but the person would come back with another heart attack in 3 or 4 months, and it would surprise us enough so that we would have discussions and conversations about what are we missing. Obviously, we miss what's happening during the night. So unless a bed partner or a family member complains of having loud snoring in the bedroom, we might not know that that person is a sleep patient. So we started screening patients and asking those tough questions about their sleep habits and their noisiness in the bedroom. So we frequently would ask the bed partner to come with them on the visits and then interrogate them basically about what's going on during the night. And then we would find the answers. When we started doing the research and got those answers and started screening patients for sleep apnea, we found a huge overlap of the number of people with truly dangerous obstructive sleep apnea also had the combination of heart attacks and strokes and atrial fib and the things that worry us with the heart.
So snoring can lead to heart attacks.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't think that's connected.
Well, it's fairly simple to explain. I think the way God intended for us to live is to breathe air in, which is mostly oxygen. And that oxygen provides the nutrients for our heart to function. The heart cannot work at all without plenty of oxygen. So it is bright red blood going through your bloodstream all night long. But if it turns blue because you're holding your breath, and usually the blue in the blue blood comes when the oxygen drops from the mid-90s, which is normal, down into the 70s, all of a sudden the body goes into what's called oxidative stress, and the organs and certainly the cells, all of the body scream as if there's an alarm bell going off. And that's when the body's cells start to clump together, then they clump to the wall of an artery, and then they cause a little tiny blister on the inside of the artery wall, and then that sets up a drawing in of cholesterol molecules in the artery wall, and now a plaque forms. When the plaque forms, it then is very subject to rupture. And so if you're out chopping wood, or you're very upset, or you have an argument, and all of a sudden lots of adrenaline is pouring out, and the artery gets spastic, it will crack the plaque, and the plaque will rupture, spill its debris into the bloodstream, and that's a heart attack. No blood will go past that plaque that's ruptured. So the patient comes in with a heart attack, we take them to the cath lab, open up the artery, and they get better. Then the next morning start asking those tough questions about sleep habits because they go together.
And so much of that snoring starts because we're a little overweight. And you don't have to be a lot overweight for it to happen.
You do not have, no. And lots of my patients are thin and have sleep apnea to beat the band, and noisy in the bedroom and not overweight. In the United States, though, it's interesting that most of the issues are weight related. For example, if your body mass index is over 30, in general, you have it. If a female's neck size is greater than 17 inches, they have it almost always. If a male's neck size is greater than 16 to 17 inches, almost always you can say you need to be screened. And in fact, lots of companies require the patients go in and be screened and include a neck size assessment to see if it correlates with the possibility of sleep apnea. Then they ask the hard questions and screen those patients out and say, you need to be tested.
And that's to really go through a sleep study, that
Right.
you're going to hook you up and try and ask you to sleep so that you guys can study and find out what's really going on.
And many patients consider that torture, but we do see the patients sleep well during the sleep study in the laboratory. It's not particularly dangerous or aggravating. They come in around 7:30, 8 at night. They sleep through the night. We monitor all the features, oxygen, rhythm of the heart on the EKG, whether they breathe through their mouth breathers. We check to see if they're kickers, if they kick during the night, which is also a treatable illness, and other features. So we have 15 or 20 characteristics of their sleep that we can put together in the morning and say, aha, either you're okay to go or you've got a problem, sit still and let's start working on treating your sleep apnea.
And so in addition to getting a better night's sleep, which we know that Americans are sleep sick and deprived of that, we can prevent heart attacks and some of these major issues in our health that nobody wants to have.
Absolutely. Sleep, in a way, is sort of the low-hanging fruit. All you have to do is ask a few questions, have an astute physician that's caring and has done a little reading or gone to some conferences about sleep apnea and heart disease, and they can help screen those patients and get them over to us, and we can make a difference.
Dr. Kenneth Weeks, thank you so much from Novant Health for sharing this important information with us.
Thank you.
Well, it's confession time again. I have a love affair with cheese, and mozzarella is probably one of my favorites. But mozzarella made from real water buffalo milk is hard to find. When one Salisbury couple couldn't find the authentic mozzarella they tasted in Europe, they decided to make and sell their own. Carolina Impact's Sheila Saints takes us to their water buffalo farm tucked away in Rowan County.
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam.
Raising water buffalo isn't exactly how David and Faith DiLoretto pictured retirement.
Yeah, I know.
But that's how Dr. David and wife Faith now spend their days.
This was never a life goal or a bucket list item.
It all began a few years ago on a family trip to Italy when they tasted sweet, creamy mozzarella from real buffalo milk. But when they returned home, they couldn't find it anywhere.
When we realized there isn't any place you can get buffalo mozzarella, nobody makes it here. So on a lark, we just said, let's get our own buffalo. And lo and behold, my wife found a few that were for sale, and before we were ready, we went ahead and got them and said, well, we'll just learn by trial and error.
And suddenly, their former horse ranch became home to water buffalo.
We just kind of jumped in feet first. So there's been a lot of catch-up time.
It ended up that the mozzarella was the hardest thing to make, so we were making aged cheeses for a year before we actually got the mozzarella that we were after to start with.
Faith took cheese-making classes and worked with state inspectors to design this creamery. David learned about water buffalo and ran the business.
They love to lick.
Now, several dozen water buffalo later, they operate Fading D Farm, a buffalo ranch and dairy. On the farm, the days start early and end late. There are mouths to feed, newborn babies to check on, and water buffalo to milk.
Like I say, they all have the personalities. This one loves to rub. Some of them like to stand off and get their nose rubbed.
They definitely can have attitude.
Which makes milk production unpredictable, especially when they become shy around strangers. We hid in a corner in the milking parlor to film this. Their milk contains higher butter fat than cow's milk, with protein that's easier to digest. The average water buffalo can weigh up to 2,000 pounds, but yet on average they only produce 1.5 gallons of milk a day. That's about what a goat produces, or 1/5 of a cow. That's why producing this kind of cheese is so labor intensive.
Today I'm making Roco. We add our culture and that has to sit for an hour to develop its full flavor. Then we put our rennet in, which causes it to coagulate. And after that, I cut it with the Spino, and we'll go in a crosshatch pattern, and that breaks up the curd and releases whey. When the pH is correct, it comes over here, and it goes into my brining table. You know, we're looking at close to 18, 20 hours that it's in here.
It's a long process.
It's a very long process.
The cheese goes into the aging room for up to 180 days. Each variety has a different name, like the mild Rocco for Rowan County.
I love seeing all my cheeses in here. When you see them sitting here and getting happy, you know, we come in, we wash them, we talk to them, they get patted a little bit, they get turned. It's that room when you walk in and you smell all that cheese, you're like, it's a happy place. I like to eat cheese. It is very rewarding to be making something that people really love and enjoy. I've been very excited about that. It's not something I ever thought I'd do, but it's been interesting to learn about all of it.
You get to deal with the animals, get to be outside, so there's lots of positives to it, definitely. You know, we get to do more family things together. Again, it's all working and being on the farm, but it's time spent together. That's something I value a lot.
And family members help with everything, from making cheese to selling it at a small store on the farm and local farmers markets.
It's nice to see them respond to the cheese when they taste it, and you know, everybody loves it. And when people respond positively, it's just super gratifying.
The Fading D Farm name comes from a combination of Faith's initials, plus the DiLoretto's second career fading into retirement, which may not happen anytime soon.
Where the buffalo roam.
For Carolina Impact, I'm Sheila Saints reporting.
Thanks so much, Sheila. Who knew we raised water buffalo in our area for cheese? I think it's so cool. The water buffalo cheese from Fading D Farm recently won several ribbons at the North Carolina State Fair. Well, from award-winning cheese to mouth-watering food, Green's Lunch is Charlotte's oldest restaurant. It opened back in 1926, and during the last 90 years, Green's has been owned by just two families. In this week's Carolina Cooking segment, Jason Terzis explains how they've kept customers coming back for generations with just a few simple items on the menu.
One look around uptown and you'll see them. Cranes, turning and twisting in every direction. Heavy loads going up, giant elevators coming down. New buildings popping up all over the place. With all that development comes construction workers. So where are many of the people working on Charlotte's newest buildings heading? To Charlotte's oldest restaurant, Green's Lunch.
Green's have the best hot dogs in town.
Well, it hadn't changed much.
I mean, this is like the place to come.
Simple, good, and cheap.
While Uptown has undergone plenty of changes over the last 20 years, inside Green's, it's as if time stood still. And that's just how customers like it.
When I think back to 12, 15 years ago, Charlotte is barely recognizable now in a lot of ways uptown. But this place is still the same.
Located on West 4th Street, just 2 blocks off Tryon, Green's has been serving their trademark hot dogs for 90 years.
And there's been a lot of changes around this area too, with the parking lots being converted into a baseball park and buildings, but I'm not surprised it's still here.
In a day and age when restaurants come and go, leave it to simplicity to stand the test of time. Just take a look at Green's menu. Serving breakfast and lunch only, prices are so inexpensive they look like something from 40 years ago. Omelets starting at $3.95, $1.95 for a hot dog, $3 for a burger, and French fries for $1.60.
It's reasonable in my budget.
We try our best. You know, we try our best to keep it as low as possible because, you know, we want to help the middle class, you know. I mean, we could do $3 a hot dog, but, you know, yeah, I don't think it's right.
Not only have prices remained relatively low, the consistency of the food hasn't changed, if ever. The homemade chili recipe used on Green's hot dogs goes back to 1941.
It's got a little spice to it, but not too hot.
Yeah, just have a good flavor to it and makes you want to come back and get more.
And the dogs themselves, they've always been the same since those early days in the 1920s.
It's a special blend that we have made for us.
Green's top seller is the classic Carolina dog, complete with chili, coleslaw, onions, and mustard.
The good old steamed bun, boiled hot dog, any way you want it. Hamburger cooked on a flat top. I mean, it's not trying to be anything different.
The restaurant first opened in 1925. A year later, Robert Greene bought out his partner and renamed it Greene's Lunch. It survived through the Great Depression and segregation. The original building had 2 doors, one for whites, the other for blacks.
You had to step down from the sidewalk to come in. There was no heat or anything, so all the water in the wintertime when it rained would come in.
Robert Greene owned the restaurant for 15 years until he died in 1941. His daughter Mary Greene then took over. The only thing she added to the menu was the chili.
And she sold it to my father in the 70s.
In 1981, the original Greene's was torn down, and the current building was built in its place. Joanna's dad added coleslaw to the menu. He owned it until 1989.
And then I got it.
Since then, it's been under the ownership of Joanna and Peter Sikiotis. In its 90-year history, just 2 families have owned it.
It's nice. You know, it makes me feel good. I'm proud of it.
These days, Joanna runs the kitchen. Peter handles drinks and the register. The only thing they've added to the menu is French fries. Over the years, they've had about 15 buyout offers.
I told them they don't have enough zeros.
Joanna and Peter have no desire to sell their business because they simply enjoy what they do.
I don't know what I'd do with myself. Seriously, I don't know what I would do with myself if I sold it.
Joanna wants to keep working as long as she's able.
And eventually, hopefully, someday I'll pass it down to my son.
One of the main reasons for not wanting to sell is the relationships they've built over the years with customers, many of whom have been coming in for years.
I've come here for about 22 years.
Some customers have been coming in for decades. Take Carrie Howley, for example. Working uptown, she's been a regular at Greene's for 30 years. That's a third of their 90-year existence.
Their food is good, the people are good, I know them by name.
Most of our customers, we know them, they're regulars, you know.
Greene's just might be the ultimate mom and pop shop, a husband and wife tandem as owners and operators.
I hope it stays another 100.
Perhaps the sign in the middle of Greene's menu says it best. If you are not satisfied, please tell us. If you are satisfied, please tell your friends. Apparently, many people have been doing just that over the last 90 years. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jason Terzis reporting.
Thanks so much, Jason. Greene's Lunch is located at 309 West 4th Street in Charlotte. You can find a link to their website posted along with this story on the Carolina Impact page at pbscharlotte.org. What's your hobby? Gardening, fishing, biking, hiking? With the cool, crisp days of fall, it's nice to get some fresh air and take a break from the daily grind. One Huntersville man found peace through an unusual pastime and turned his love for creating into a career. Carolina Impact's Danielle Koser has the story.
Bubbles. We drink them down, use them to wash up, and Steve Langley makes a living playing with these unpredictable psychedelic spheres.
Oh, that made 2. Let me pop one of them. I have to, pitch myself every day. I go, people pay me to make soap bubbles.
Langley started the soap bubble circus 2 years ago. Now he performs year-round, traveling across the Carolinas, wowing crowds with his one-man show.
It's blown up, so to speak. Here comes a surprise. Woo!
We caught up with him at the Concord Library.
Have you ever seen one of those, a soap bubble cube?
I was like, wow, I can't believe anyone could do that. I don't even know what a bubble vapor is, but it looks cool anyways.
Eventually, Langley takes the show outside, using a magic wand of sorts to fill the sky with bubbles, some bigger than the kids in the audience.
This bit.
Kids, being kids, test the bubbles' boundaries, quickly discovering how fragile they are, getting a soapy shower as they burst.
I popped them and when they said, big balls, I won't pop them. Pop. It was amazing.
Believe it or not, Langley went to school to be a chef.
I actually started as a dishwasher, so it's almost full circle if you think about it.
He and a coworker teamed up and started performing as a comedy juggling act. Langley hoped to save a little dough so he could open a restaurant. The two called themselves the Fettuccini Brothers, a play off their day job in food service. That was 30 years ago. Since then, he's reinvented himself over and over again, transitioning from the Great Fettuccini to the Paddleball King to a bubbleologist, earning 4 world records along the way.
Just when I thought my life couldn't get any more wacky, I'm a bubble guy now.
The most recent was for the longest hanging bubble chain, blowing 35 bubbles before half of them floated away. Langley never set out to become a bubbleologist. His success with the soap bubble circus came after his career hit an all-time low. He was burnout, battling depression, and dealing with the aftermath of a client defaulting on a payment, shorting him thousands of dollars.
When I would get at my most stressed out, I would go out into the driveway and blow bubbles. And I could just feel my heart rate coming down, and I could feel the stress almost like floating away with each bubble.
Bubbles reignited his passion for performing, so he set out to help lighten the load for others.
Making people smile, making people happy, taking them out of that moment for just a little bit.
This summer, Steve took his show from the Carolinas to California, performing at the El Capitan Theater for the premiere of Finding Dory. His niche has earned him a number of nicknames.
Bubble man, bubble guy, bubble dude.
But back at home, hanging out with his wife, 2 daughters, and rescue dog, he's simply known as Dad.
He's a fun dad to have around the house.
Well, life with my husband is never boring. There is always something going on.
That's it, good. Give it a nice, make sure you pull it off from the top when you go up and pull it off. That's it, just like that.
Downstairs, his daughters join him in the Bubble Lab, turning the soap bubble circus into a family affair.
I like to perform just like my dad.
Emily is 10, Sarah's 17, and together they're the Bubblini sisters, in training to run the show when Dad's out of town.
It's fun to see the expression on people's faces.
Perfect.
Because so many people love bubbles, and it's cool to see how they'll react to them.
It's really hard not to smile when there are bubbles around.
Through a career of ups and downs, Langley hopes his daughters learn to follow their passion and find their bliss. Back at the library, kids stare in awe of these whimsical wonders floating through the sky without a worry in the world. For Carolina Impact, I'm Danielle Koser reporting.
Thanks, Danielle. To find out when the Soap Bubble Circus performs near you, visit our website, pbscharlotte.org. Well, before we say goodnight, we want to remind you to please friend us on Facebook for a chance to win monthly prizes. This month, we're giving away a pair of tickets to see Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood Live, coming to Charlotte January 22nd. All you have to do is like our Facebook page. We'll pick the winner Friday, December 16th. If you don't win, you can get tickets by supporting PBS Charlotte, and you can get discounted tickets at our website, pbscharlotte.org. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We always appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you back here again next time on Carolina Impact. Good night, my friends.
Production of PBS Charlotte.